So this is a little bit of a quick and dirty video. I wanted to get out this tabletop RPG video quick because it's not part of my normal subject matter, but I really wanted to get it done because people asked for it in the comments on my last book haul. So what I plan on doing is going through everything I got there. And before that, I'm just going to give a little bit of context for why I happened to find an estate sale that was selling everything that brings me joy in life. So on one of my days off, I had made plans to just hang out with my mom. We were going to go to an art store. Well, my wife messaged me in the morning and was like, hey, there's an estate sale with like games and D&D stuff. And I was like, oh, really? And it happened to be on the way to where we were going. So I thought, screw it. My mom loves estate sales. I love all this nerd crap. Let's just go there and check it out. So we get there. The garage is full of old school war games, like the stuff that predates Dungeons and Dragons from Avalon Hill. There's piles of magazines for old tactical games, war games, stuff like that. As you go through this house, you realize the guy was a veteran and had spent a lot of time traveling overseas for the army and really, really liked his nerdy games. This is what I would have been like had I been an adult at the time that he was. I got all my nerd crap now. It's amazing. It's all a lot of modern nerd crap with a little dabbling of the old stuff. This guy had all the old stuff, and you could tell from his collection that he liked Steve Jackson games, Avalon Hill war games, and boy was he a fan of Robotech. So many Robotech paperback novels. There was an entire bedroom full of comic books. Now, I don't collect comic books. If I read comic books, I read them online. I'm not one of those completionists that needs physical copies of comic books. I have a few that mean something to me, but other than that, I don't collect them. I would like a complete set of The Death and Life of Superman just because I like that series and I know how polarizing it is in the comic book world, but I also know how important it is to what the comic book world is today, for worse, not better and worse, just for worse. There weren't a lot of books there I wanted. There was some cool furniture I thought about picking up. This place was just amazing. It had so many cool things. Old PC games. This dude was a nerd with a capital N. Just so cool. They had an entire room full of art, like paintings and rare prints. They were thousands of dollars each. And it was just really cool to see. The lady running it was super nice. I got some really good deals. Wasn't even trying to haggle. I was just happy with the prices as they were, but she cut me good deals anyways. There was this one dude there that was a freaking weasel. Why are there people like this at estate sales? So everything was 25% off because it was the second day of the estate sale. The guy had a bunch of board games, like war board games, like Axis and Allies type board games, but somehow more complex. Yeah, wrap your head around that one. He's haggling with her and she's not putting up with it. Maybe she knows his type, but he's out there trying to make a deal with her. And he's like, well, I don't know if I want to pay that much for that. I don't know if all the pieces are there. And she's like, you can count them. And he's like, there's 260 pieces. And she's like, well, we're open all day. Take as long as you need. And I don't think he liked hearing that. So anyways, they negotiate a price that includes the discount for the day. He goes in, and when he goes to check out, the guy asks, oh, is that price including the discount? And he's like, oh no. He weaseled another 25% out of that woman just because she didn't have to be around. Like, why be scummy like that at a place like this? What are you doing with your life? Putting that aside, I will say that someone did go through the comic books, a professional, before the estate sale opened, and picked all of the kind of mid-range comic books out and the big money ones and just told them, hey, these are the ones that are of value. I don't know if they paid them to do it or they volunteered to do it, but that was really good. It was someone from my area that specializes in grading comic books. I'm still rambling about this thing. Let's go right into everything I got because holy crap, is it amazing? And I will see you on the other side. I'm just going to start with the random bits and pieces before I move on to the big box sets that I picked up. And as I go through them, we're just going to talk about them. There were a lot of paperback books at the sale and just a few hardcovers, and they just weren't in good shape or were things I didn't feel like collecting. But I found one thing that stood out: Dragon Flame and Other Bedtime Nightmares. Now, this book is written by Don McGregor, and he was a writer for Marvel Comics. And this is some like edgelord vigilante stuff from the late 70s. Yeah, 1978. And how can you say no to a book with the author like this in it? It's ridiculous. Look at that. It's got some ninja jump and I love it so much. I don't know if there's other art in here. Oh yeah, there is some. And it's all great. I'm going to be careful flipping through this because I'm worried that there's going to be someone naked. So from what I can gather, this book is something along the lines of Death Wish and other vigilante stuff. It's just fascinating, and I'm going to read this. It's a super short book. I looked for reviews of it online, and there are none. Look at that vigilante. That's amazing. That is some 70s ass Marvel looking artwork. I love it. So this estate sale was going on for like 3 days, and I got to go one day, and then my wife went the next day when stuff had an even steeper discount. This thing, Star Slammers, a Marvel graphic novel, looks amazing. Look, that's some Space Marine looking stuff. I have no idea what this is about, but I freaking love the art. It's super cool, and I'm looking forward to reading it. I don't even care if it's ridiculous. It just reminds me of like Heavy Metal Magazine and stuff like that. Also, bro, these are Space Marines. This is another one of those instances where I'm like, I swear Games Workshop has stolen everything that was ever made before it. These next 3 things I'm going to go through quickly, and I'm going to tell a story about my regret from that estate sale. So I bought a bunch of box sets, and one of them I regret buying and another one I regret not buying, and it wasn't there the next day when my wife got there. Well, these were supplements for it. This is from the Champions tabletop RPG, which is about superheroes, and this is Deathstroke, and it's just really cool. I love these vintage RPGs, all the little schematics and even the font. I love the way these are printed. I know they were printed like this because money, but it's just so cool. So my wife picked up this one, and this one Champions 2, and just yet again, cool comic book stuff. I did pick up a cool comic book game, but not this one, and that one's going to blow your mind. It's ridiculously amazing, so I can't wait to show it off, but that's all I'm going to tease about it. And, you know, I don't know if these games play very well. They probably don't. I am going to assume they are a product of their times, which is sometimes not a good thing for an RPG, but they're fun to learn from, and they're just really fun to look at. I mean, look at this art. Got Champions 3 as well. I think my wife got each of these for like 75 cents or $1 or something. I really regret not picking up the Champions box set. It was dirt cheap. Now, I did run the risk of it missing pieces because I was going to get the Star Trek Fleet game or whatever it was from the late 70s or early 80s where you controlled a Star Trek ship in battles, and I had the first box and then I opened it and none of the rules were in there. It was just a bunch of the paperwork from the guy who owned them for running a ship and stuff, and it just kind of sucked. I'm glad I opened it before I bought it though. And yeah, this one just has more supplements, more cool art. Danger Rooms, dude, how did Marvel not sue them? Or maybe they did. I'd have to look it up. But yeah, Champions was just another one of those games. Bro, this is Wolverine. What the heck is going on with this? Hero Games is interesting. I did pick up something from Hero Games as well in this pile, and it's one of my regrets. So when I get to it, I'll let you know. My wife also picked up this goofy game, Globbo, a peculiar game for 2 players by Alan Varney from Steve Jackson Games. I love Steve Jackson Games, and so this is going to be interesting, whatever it is. Globbo is a semi-sentient, quasi-organic, polymorphous playroom assassination device. He slam dunks his victims at close range, fires a battery of lethal laser pistols at long range, and plays soothing music for the little ones. This is bizarre. I just love this. This reminds me of something like Dungeon Crawl Classics. Bro, it actually still has the map. I hadn't opened this all the way yet. Look at that. Yeah, freaking cool that is. One of the best things about this estate sale collection was how many things were complete. I was complaining about the Star Trek one, but everything else was complete. Look, this still even has the tokens in the bag, in the baggie. I don't even know if it's ever been opened. So I'm just super excited to give this game a try. An exceptionally strange game of exploding children and their cheerfully homicidal babysitter in a really alien playpen. Okay, this is just ridiculous. I might be playing this week. Globbo. Heck yeah. My wife is the best. She knows what to grab at estate sales. So these next 3 we'll go through quickly. Car Wars has been something I've been interested in for a while. All of this stuff has been things I've been interested in, but I never thought I would have an opportunity to pick them up, especially for a reasonable price. And this is like the original Car Wars Deluxe Edition, and this is what you would expect. Essentially Twisted Metal, but a tabletop RPG / battle simulator or something. And you get your own little custom Hot Wheels car, and you add guns to it and stuff, and you can paint it, put battle damage on it, whatever, or not, and you battle in cars. And so this thing's just super cool. I picked up the reference screen with all the stuff I need to know, and it comes with all these extra bits and bobs because this guy was really good about kind of keeping things somewhat together. I think I realized that if he played the game a lot, there was a higher chance of the pieces being missing, and he did have a lot of Car Wars stuff, but he had like multiple editions, so I assumed that these were just taken care of a little better. And then I've got 2 copies of Auto Duel Quarterly, which was the magazine they used to release that had different rules and different supplements, and it even had stories in it. So this is super cool. This one had a little bit of water damage, but I didn't really care. And I picked up all of these for 50 cents each. They had a pile of just magazines and different rule books, and they were like, yeah, those are 50 cents each. And I'm like, okay. I don't know when I'm going to get to play Car Wars, but if I do, I'm prepared. There were so many Car Wars things there. I legit thought about buying it all, but I don't have space for it. There were like the little map pamphlets, a bunch of supplement rules. So I just picked up a handful of things just to have. And this was the best thing I found in the 50-cent pile. I'm pretty sure this is a first edition. Yeah. And it's MechWarrior, the Battletech role-playing game. This is just a cool piece of history. I really like learning about FASA, who made this game. It's one of my favorite sections in Shannon Appleklein's history of tabletop RPGs. And so this was just super cool to have. You get like the history of the MechWarrior universe and humanity and all that. And just look at that. Just screams 80s tabletop RPG. And I love it. This game is probably way too complex for me. I didn't realize it had color printouts until now. This is super cool. And this book was in great shape, especially for 50 cents. And I just think it's so cool to have all these different weapons and things. And the best thing about tabletop RPGs is how easy it is to steal from other tabletop RPGs for games you're running. So things like this, I would definitely implement into other games of mine, even if I'm just taking the item and putting it in there. Like this gun. What does this gun do? I don't know. But I'd look up the stats for it, kind of finagle them to work in whatever game system I'm using, and, go from there. Look at that. I even love the art on the back. It's just so good. I wish he had more FASA games, but I can't complain too much because of the next FASA game that I'm going to show you. Now with this, I found the core rulebook and like one other thing, and I was talking to the lady at the estate sale, and I was like, hey, how much is this? I just found it on the table, and it was like this and one of the other items, and this is the core rulebook for Earth Dawn, which is FASA's fantasy tabletop RPG. And she was like, oh, that's $5. And I was like, okay. So I picked this up, and it had another game inside of it. Kings and Things, Minor Nobles Handbook for Kadab Conquest, winner of the Origins Award for Best Play-by-Mail Game of 1988 from West End Games. And I was like, dang, man, I got a bonus game for free? And this is just something that'll be just fun to read through. I love the history of tabletop RPGs, so picking up these little pieces of ephemera is just hype. And Earth Dawn is like a post-apocalyptic fantasy tabletop RPG, and it's got a story in the beginning. It's got all of the info about how this world came to be. I love all the artwork in it. And like I said, I picked this up in one other book for $5, and I put it in my pile to buy, and then I was digging through more stuff. Oh yeah, look at this art. This is wonderful. And when I had all this put away in my to buy pile, I found more stuff. This is the Game Mastering Earth Dawn booklet, and I was like, oh, this is cool. This is like optional rules, how to create adventures and campaigns. And I was like, well, what else would be there? Boom, look at this. I found the Dungeon Master screen with all the stats in it. It's just perfect. It's in great shape. It's like it was barely ever used. And inside of it, it had just the original little UPC and stuff that was on the back of it. It had the errata for the game and a collection of these item cards, and this was all just tucked away in this screen. And I ended up finding this screen and these other things, and I told her, I was like, hey, can I add these to the pile for $3 because they're part of this? And she's like, oh no, if they're part of it, you can have it all for $5. So I also got Denizens of Earth Dawn Volume 1, and this doesn't have rules really. It's all flavor for like the people of the Earth Dawn world. So you have like these lizard dudes, and then there's fae and orcs and just humans and these like rock people. And this is just super cool to have just a collection of lore for Earth Dawn. When will I get to play Earth Dawn? Who knows? But I have everything to do it. This next thing I have is the Earth Dawn Companion. I think this is just advanced rules and different supplements, magical item tables, all that stuff. Just more crap for me to dig through as a huge tabletop RPG nerd. And yet again, look at that art. It's perfect. I love this era of fantasy art. There's just nothing better. Get out of my face with that milk toast. Graphic design is my hobby crap that you see in a lot of modern games. I don't want to see it. Show me this stuff instead. And this last one is an adventure. Terror in the Skies. So I even have an adventure to run when I play Earth Dawn. Sorry, these keep not being in the center of the frame. It's very hard to do this correctly. But yeah, you get all the monsters, all the adventures. I really like running adventures. I know a lot of people don't because it feels like they're railroading their players. But here's the thing. If you're good at manipulating your players, they never know they're on a railroad. And you know, what's the point of running a tabletop RPG if you're not manipulating your friends? Terror in the Sky is just so cool. It just looks like some weird fantasy pulp thing. It's just wonderful. Now this next one, this is the most expensive thing I bought, but also had the most value. I picked it up thinking, oh yeah, here's a superhero game. I can get this one instead of the other one. It's a little more expensive, but it's got a bit of gravitas to it because it was made by TSR. And that's the Marvel Superheroes Heroic Role-Playing Game. Now the box is like a little full. You can see that it's kind of busting at the seams. And I opened it and looked in and I was like, okay, cool. Because it was taped on like one side so I could barely peek in. I'm like, okay, this has a couple of extra supplements to it. So I'm definitely kind of getting my money's worth with this. I just hope it's all there because I didn't really have an opportunity to look at it all. Well, it was all there and then some. So let's just get right into this. You've got the campaign book that comes with the core rules and just everything you need to run a vintage Marvel RPG. Now, I've heard that some people absolutely love these rules and other people don't, and the rules are built around this table. So the way it works is you look at your stats and you roll, and your goal is to get into the green zone. And so the better you are at something, the easier it is to succeed. Most people are like good or excellent. Some have remarkable skills. And then you have the fighting effects table at the bottom. Well, this came with, of course, the adventure that comes in the box set, Day of the Octopus by Bruce Nesmith, which is yet again great. The one thing about all these is the art. The art is incredible. Got the battle book, so you've got all your characters, so you know what is a hero and how to use them and their different abilities, and moving on the map shows you how damage works with different weapons. And the best thing about this, yet again, just looking at all this awesome art. Now, here's the thing that's crazy. All the pieces are in here for the box set. I think the dice might be missing. I'm not sure if it came with dice. We've got the Thing, Spider-Man, the Human Torch, and Wolverine. The Wolverine in the best costume, yes. The like ochre and brown is the best Wolverine costume. And then we've got Captain Marvel, Captain America, Mr. Fantastic, and the Invisible Girl. Look at that, Captain America. Captain America's the GOAT, like just the best superhero. And you know, here's the thing. This is going to be a nice hipster hot take. Captain America's the best, and if you don't understand why, it's because you're not paying attention. When you say someone like him is boring, it shows me that you just haven't dug into the Captain America lore enough. Look at this. This was in the box. Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars, which is very appropriate to what's going to be coming up in the MCU. And look at that. By Jeff Grubb, one of the best tabletop RPG designers ever. And here's the thing about these adventures. Not only does it have like a rule book with all the characters' stats for the people you can play, Iron Man, Magneto, Nightcrawler, Professor X. This has got Spider-Woman, Rogue. It's got everyone. It's even got Lockheed the Dragon. What you know about Lockheed the Dragon? And so you've got the character sheets. You've got the maps that are still in here, untouched. It's just amazing that all this is complete. You've got the adventure book. I just couldn't get over the fact that all of this is here. And then I move on to the next one and I'm like, oh, cool. What are these? And the MH series are the adventures. And I was like, oh, cool. I've got a couple of them. I don't have a couple of them. I have the first 5, and not just the first 5. I have the first 5 complete with maps and the rule books, and it's just incredible. Back in the USSR, that's awesome. Good Beatles reference there. The breeder bombs. That sounds so inappropriate now that I chuckle every time I see it. Magneto's back in town and deadlier than ever. Can even the X-Men stop the breeder bombs? This is just superhero nostalgia straight in your veins. Time trap. You're traveling back in time and stuff. I don't even know who the bad guy is in here. Drax. And you have a map complete in good condition. Super scroll, all this good stuff. The cool thing is each one of these has different characters you can play as in the booklet. I can't believe these are still intact because these are loose inside the booklet, and the same thing goes for the maps. Lone Wolves, finally a game that I will get to play because I will just run it for either my daughter or my wife because it's one person running and one person playing. And you know, this was like peak TSR, like cocaine and all, and so they designed some really cool stuff. And look at that. Hold, fat man, your time of judgment is at hand. Of course, the Punisher is going to fat shame Kingpin. Yet again, amazing maps. It's just so cool. All this stuff being here. Marvel Superheroes Cat's Paw. Love the art. You get to play as Alpha Flight. It's got all the rules, got the cards for them still in there, nothing cut out, all their stats. the maps. Now, if you thought that was crazy, you got to see these last 5. So these last 5 are not adventures. They are the judge's screen with a hero's guide to New York, complete. This is all the supplemental stuff for running games. Avengers Assembled. This has all the Avengers rules, characters, stuff like that. So I've got plenty of characters, and I'm not afraid of just letting people run whatever hero they want in an adventure because I don't care. Why would I take the game that seriously? We're playing as freaking Marvel superheroes from the late 70s. These are the coolest adventure fold-up figures. What I want to do is photocopy these and print them on cardstock so that I can use them because all of these are untouched. All these different heroes you can cut out and use as little standees with this wonderful art, and I just can't believe that they never got used. This is some of my favorite Marvel art. I really love the vintage aesthetic, and I want to use it for modern storytelling. Same thing with D&D. That's what I like about Dungeon Crawl Classics is you get a lot of the old school art. And this thing, by the way, is the Marvel Superheroes Adventure fold-up figures featuring Pit of the Viper. So this comes with an adventure, and it comes with all of the little fold-up terrain so that you can run the game. It's just so cool. Get a little adventure. I don't know who a Nihilist Agent is, but maybe they read a lot of Camus and didn't like him, so they went the dark route. But this is just great. This last one, Project Wide Awake by Jeff Grubb. In one place, the major mutants of the Marvel Universe and their most malicious foes. So these are all the rules for the X-Men and their villains, so you can play as anyone you want. It's just great, and it's got a layout for the for Professor X's mansion. This is the map that comes with the core rules, and it's just New York City. And now my wife and I did realize some pieces are missing, unfortunately. I've got all these tokens for the original game. It's missing 2, and I don't know which ones it is. It doesn't really matter, especially since I got all the cool standees. And honestly, if I was going to run this game on a battle map and I'm not doing it digitally, I would probably 3D print the superheroes and paint them myself, or use the Marvel tabletop like battle game. I can't remember what it's called, but I want to get into it because the models are actually relatively affordable, and I just haven't because everything costs money, and why does everything have to cost money? Yeah, this Marvel set is incredible. This was my best find without a doubt. The fact that all of these were in there and complete in the box, it's just so cool. There's a couple of things I would like to get to add to this collection, and I would like to take this somewhere like North Texas RPG Con and run games for people. Of course, I'd have to learn it and then, take the days off to go to North Texas RPG Con, which is right down the road. I don't know why I haven't done it. Super cool. The Marvel Superheroes game is a good salve for the mistakes I made that we'll get to later. One game I'm very hyped about, and I want to run it as written, but I might end up just using a different rule set and running the adventures, or just using the ideas and the artwork, is Twilight 2000. Now, this is the second edition of Twilight 2000 by GDW Games, and I just love how very Red Dawn this artwork is. And the premise of Twilight 2000 is the Cold War goes hot, and you as characters are trapped in Europe after the war has started, and there was an exchange of nuclear weapons between NATO and Russia. Something that would never happen. There would never be any aggression between NATO and Russia. That's just impossible in this time. And the cool thing about Twilight 2000 is you as the characters are just trying to get out or survive, maybe find a place to be, because everything's been destabilized. And I love all of this art. I love that you have the character sheet that is on the 1D10 system that did get adapted. There's a Twilight 2000 2.2 edition where they set this rule set up to be closer to their other games, which is fine. It's not that big of a deal. It just gives you a little more fine tuning when it comes to your success and fail in rolling, because it's on a 1D20 instead of 1D10. But all these vehicles have stats, have like the fuel they use. And the thing that this reminded me of more than anything was Escape from Tarkov.
Running into Goshen. Body on right. Shooting from left, dead. Somebody's in Goshen.
Oh, there's a PMC in there.
I could run Escape from Tarkov as a tabletop RPG with this system, because we've got BTRs, we've got everything you would run into in Tarkov. This is a post-apocalyptic setting, a lot like Tarkov is. You got freaking boats, horses, mules, elephants. Like, who's riding an elephant? And then you got all the guns. This game was 100% made by military history nerds. It's just awesome. And very, very gritty rules, which I enjoy. I have heard that this game is very lethal, so a lot of players try to avoid combat, which makes sense. In what world is it okay for you to just run and gun with these weapons thinking you're going to be able to hold up to a trained military unit? And I like that the game is hyper lethal. I think that it makes the intensity of battles just on another level, and players will try to avoid them. And when they get ambushed or they put themselves in a situation they can't talk their way out of, I love to see that intensity, and I love to see players trying to survive. It's just really fun for me running the game. I like watching my players suffer. You know how it is. And the cool thing about this game is, yet again, it's complete. Got the core rule book, you've got the tactical maps, which are great. These are actually one-page adventures. I don't know if these came in here or they were picked up separately. I'd have to do a deeper dive on the box set. We've got Urban Renewal. It's got like an approach, the map description, kind of how everything works, the layout of the adventure. Castle Keep. Castles are unfortunately not very common to North America, but they can be found in many other parts of the world. It is a very barren role-playing campaign that does not sooner or later incorporate these symbols of romance and adventure. It's got the NPC lists, everything. The Flesh Peddlers, I'm going to assume this is cannibals of some kind. Abandoned Lighthouse. Just every single one of these is a great catalyst for running a little adventure. They're so easy to roll into a full game. The Passing of the Flame, just talking about supplies have broken down. You got this big map for exactly how to run the tactical side of the game. What's Polish for G'day? I think this one involves like Australian soldiers who were probably part of NATO that are trapped in Poland. Attack of the Mole People. I think this one involves like a coal mine, and I'm going to assume, based on it saying there's slave quarters and a guard room and stuff, that people are holed up in this mine and just come out for food and snatching people. Nuclear Power Station, which would be a very intense game to play. This is one of the cool things that came in this. You've got the catalog for GDW games from 1990. That's the original Twilight 2000 right there. It's all sorts of cool content. Survivor's Guide to the United Kingdom for Twilight 2000. Gateway to the Spanish Main. Bro, that's a sailing ship. You're going to be using that in the year 2000 after nukes have been dropped? I mean, I guess it makes sense. I believe that Twilight 2000 was updated to 2.2 to go with the new Traveler game that was coming out at the time. And yeah, see, we got the deluxe second edition rules. And here's the cool thing. All of these vehicles have not been cut out. You've got the color side that shows each vehicle. And then on the other side, you have the destroyed vehicle. So if it gets destroyed, you just flip the token over, and every single soldier on this sheet, it has their weapon that they're using on the other side. So when you kill one of those soldiers and loot them, you know exactly what you're getting. These are the houses that you would cut out for the tactical map, and it shows them destroyed on the other side. These are the things I would like to print out with cardstock. That way I can preserve this box set because it is beautiful and I don't want to mess it up. As I say that as I'm peeling at this with my fingernail to try to get it out of there. Twilight Encounters, map 2. So you got all these destroyed buildings, just amazing stuff. And in the bottom, you've got the GW game response card. Do you think if I filled this out, it would actually go somewhere? I doubt it. Probably easier to get a hold of people from Game Designers Workshop on the internet. So the Marvel RPG is probably my best find, but this is my favorite find. I just really like it. I don't know what it is about the GDW games of this era. Maybe I'm just like a hardcore tabletop RPG hipster. I probably hate the rules, but I love the art and I just want to keep collecting these. This next one I picked up solely because it is the game that George R.R. Martin and Roger Zelazny and the other authors of the Wildcard series played as the inspiration for that series. This is Superworld, the superpowered role-playing game. Now, when I saw this, I was just like, oh my goodness. This has to come home with me. And one of the reasons I put back the Champions game was because I was like, I already have 2 superhero games. Do I really need 3? The answer was yes, and I should have got it. But let's get into this. This is complete. This has all of the original dice, and you can tell that it's the original dice because they're not colored in. Back in the day, when you would get your polyhedral dice, you had to go over them with a crayon to fill in the lettering and then just wipe it away off the top because it was too expensive / impossible to fill in these numbers in a way that was feasible for mass production. Now, this has a couple bonus things as well. I believe that Bad Medicine for Dr. Drugs, the adventure is extra, and this works for Superworld and Champions. Another reason I regret not picking up the Champions box set. Now, Dr. Drugs reminds me of someone from the Wildcard series. I think Dr. Drugs is the bad guy. Oh, Dr. Drugs is the one I'm thinking of. So this guy reminds me of a character in Wildcards. He was a genius chemist and physicist, and he ended up getting superpowers from drugs and has been chasing that dragon ever since. And he has a bag of different chemical compounds that give get him high in some way and turn him into another person with different powers. He's never been able to get back the original, like, uber superhero version of himself, but he does have a bunch of different people he can turn into that help out, but aren't nearly as good as the first one. In the Wildcards book, that version of Dr. Drugs in his origin story fights the superhero version of Jim Morrison, which is a dude that can turn into a humanoid lizard. That's a little on the nose, but also cool. And this just has like a darker tone compared to the Marvel Tabletop RPG and Champions, and I like that. I don't know how this game plays. Hopefully it plays well because I want to run it at least a couple times to play this adventure. Here we go. We got the Game Master book. It's got the rules for how to make superheroes, all that good stuff, stats for different superheroes. Yet again, amazing artwork. This guy reminds me of a cyborg in Wildcards. That is the other reason I wanted this box set. I want to see how much of Wildcards was thought up directly from this stuff. I'm going to read this lore. I know that the virus in Wildcards probably didn't come from here, but I just want to know how many little bits and pieces came from this, and look at that. I didn't mention it's designed by Chaosium, one of the heavy hitters of tabletop RPGs at the time. Their Glorantha setting is still beloved by a lot of people today. Yeah, we got the superpowers book just showing how the superpowers work, and you've got these stat sheets at the front and the back that you can photocopy. Superheroes book, just more info about superhero, the mechanics, how to fight, how damage works, breaking things, and then another character sheet. Each character sheet has a different avatar on it that you can make your own. Got the reference sheets, which of course you would need because these are very rules heavy games. And then it even comes with little standees, all original, untouched. I just cannot believe how well a lot of this stuff was preserved. We've got the conversion sheets and operative sheets. This stuff is way over my head. I don't know what the heck any of it means. I got additional copies of all of the character sheets, which is going to be good because I will copy those. And then at the back, you've got the box contents and an explanation of the parts. And I went through, and yes, I have all of it here. I'm missing all of the original D6. I think this is just an additional one, which is fine. I have plenty of D6. I think I bought a 10-pound bag a long time ago, and I have so many D6. Thank you, Warhammer 40K. So this seems like a little more grim, dark-ish superhero game. Yet again, the art is beautiful. This just looks so cool. I know this is mostly just me geeking out, but isn't that what we're here for, is to see this crap? This last one, this is the one I regretted. I should have bought Champions instead of this, but you know, everybody makes mistakes. This is Espionage, the secret agent role-playing game by Hero Games. I bought it because it's corny and it was complete, and why wouldn't you want to run some doofy espionage game at some point? And this has the 1983 Heroes Games catalog, which has very little in it. It's pretty cool. This envelope, I forgot what was in it. It might be in here somewhere. But the nice thing is this game is just one rule book, lots of spy stuff. There's some paperwork in here. I'm not sure. I think this is what was in that envelope. I think it's part of the adventure. Got like a clue. And here's the adventure, Merchants of Terror. Like I said, I picked this up because it's complete. It'd be a fun game to pull out and show some modern players and be like, hey, you want to play an old school game that you'll probably hate? And then you just make them suffer by going through a very obtuse and difficult to understand vintage tabletop RPG. My obsession with tabletop RPG history is probably not healthy because it means that not only am I collecting books about the history of tabletop RPGs, I'm collecting the vintage tabletop RPGs, but these were just such a great deal that I couldn't say no. So I had to tack this on at the end, and I'm going to go through this a little quickly because while this is cool, it's not as cool as the other stuff I picked up. I got all of these for next to nothing. This is Nexus, the Gaming Connection by Task Force Games. This is the premiere issue. I picked up the first 14 issues of this war games tactics type magazine just because it looked cool, and I'll show you the artwork, but most of this is just a bunch of very crunchy rules for different things. But you got these ads like for Gen Con East 2 for 1982, stuff like that. I just wanted to share the artwork for these. I'm going to go through these and see what kind of cool things they have. Let me shift this to the side so you can see the front and back of each book. They're just cool. Heroes of Olympus. Got a map on the back. More war rules. I just picked this up because of the obsession with the history of tabletop RPGs. I just want to go through them, and it's a good catalyst for me finding other things that I want to learn about in the history of tabletop RPGs, or maybe some old obscure game that I just want to read about on Wikipedia or in Shannon Appleklein's books. If any of you are interested in the history of tabletop RPG, Designers and Dragons is the thing to read. Just more and more cool artwork. I mean, you don't get artwork like this anymore. It's all just crap people throw together from other stolen images or AI or who knows what. These magazines wouldn't be made today. I just love that I have this little bit of history, and if I don't like these, I'll sell them as a collection on eBay. Who cares? God's Fire, now available from Task Force Games. Delta Force, America Strikes Back. I just thought this was cool. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this. This isn't my normal kind of content. It will probably nuke the algorithm, but what do I care about that? Some of you asked to see what I bought, and so here it is. Let me know in the comments if any of you collect tabletop RPGs, especially vintage ones like this. What's your favorite vintage tabletop RPG? Do you want to see more content like this? I have an entire wall of tabletop RPG books. I guess I could do a deep dive on at some point, maybe just each collection. It's a lot of newer stuff though, like Pathfinder First Edition. I'm just a couple hardcovers away from owning them all. I did sell the rarest one I own because money is nice to have. That's it. Thanks for watching, and with that, I'll see you next time.